I'm gonna be like Putin. I'm gonna take my shirt off and ride around like Putin on a
Probably
horse.
be pooing in a tin.
I probably will. Yeah, I'm gonna stay in a gur. I think. Yeah.
You'll poo in a hole, won't you?
It'd be
Well,
better
if there's
as
a tin, I'll take it.
Welcome. We are Neil,
Luke.
And Dave.
340-somethings, reminiscing on the runners and riders of 90s guitar music.
We look at the bands who soundtracked our youth on both sides of the pond and interview some of our heroes from the bands that defined a generation.
You'll hear about the good, the bad, and the ugly of 90s guitar music.
This podcast is Stupid and Contagious. Welcome to episode 50 of the Stupid and Contagious podcast.
for people listening, Neil just attempted to pop a party popper.
It is about 20 years old.
Oh man, what an anticlimax!
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did it. 50.
Woo!
That's a lot. That's a lot.
We made it. Half century.
Yeah, nearly a year.
Yeah.
50, eh? Who would have thought it?
But not I.
I don't see how it can be 50 when we haven't gone for a year.
All right.
Because we had those
You
little
have
extra
to
ones and stuff like
analyse
that. Right?
everything, don't you? In your analysing mind.
We had lots of little extra things and bonuses and that over the Christmas period, didn't we? They all add up.
Take a
Yeah.
day off.
Yeah, man. Bring the
You
mood
can't take
down.
a-
It's a celebration.
You can't take a day off from yourself, can you?
Unfortunately.
So yeah, this episode was just gonna be some hilarious outtakes from that didn't make it to the final cut because they were too funny.
I mean, hilarious is an ambiguous word, isn't it? There's a reason they didn't make it to the cut the first time, but put them in.
It's a bit like Auntie's bloopers, Auntie's bloomers, or whatever they were called. Is that what it's called? That program. Because
I think it was
the
bloopers.
Beeb, wasn't it? Auntie's
Yeah.
bloomers.
It was there. It will be all right
Bloopers.
on the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bloopers.
It was Bloomers, I think.
But when they started to do them on purpose, it's not funny anymore, right? Like Toy Story did it well, right? Taking the piss. That was really
Yeah.
good.
So yeah, well, there'll be hilarity. And we've just gone through all our interviews and we've just chosen some really nice moments from all our interviews that we think you might like to listen to again. So you can have a listen to all those. But we just basically, this is just to say thanks. You know, we just started a little podcast. We didn't really know if anyone was going to listen, and we're very humbled. Obviously, getting to the top 20 in the iTunes charts is it's just mental, really. So,
But it was in the 90s
all right,
music
Dave, stop
category.
analysing.
It wasn't. It was in the arts, man. That's like proper fucking chart. Arts is a big thing.
We were above Sam Smith and Minnie Driver, and you know, don't boo-hoo it or poo-poo it.
Yeah.
I didn't know
I
she
think
had
that
a
word means
podcast,
what you
Sam
think
Smith.
it means. To quote the Princess Bride.
And then we've got, I think it's 4 weeks of just interviews. Well, we take a little break, get refreshed, back with some amazing guests. Yeah, in a month's time.
Just a question that I think
It's not.
listeners might have,
Yes.
Go on.
and I have. What happens
on.
when we run out of
Analysing.
guests?
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
There's
Really?
so many. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's so many. We'll just go back through the bands and get other members.
We'll just have to contact Toploader.
We'll have to.
No.
Worst
won't come
case
to that.
scenario.
Yeah.
If there's a top loader episode, then people will know that there's some.
It's over.
you know,
We're done.
that could be
They'll
it.
know it's
We're
over.
done. Sure.
We've scraped the barrel. They're definitely not covered on now, are they? I think that
Not
has.
until the end.
That's put a nail in that coffin, I think.
Do you reckon James Blunt would come on?
I like James Blunt. I'd love to have him on.
He'd be
Yeah.
He's
brilliant.
not 90s, though, is he? 2000s.
Of course he is. Isn't he?
He was alive?
2000s. He was alive, but that's about as far as it goes. Yeah.
Right.
Beautiful was 2000s.
Right,
Guess
yeah.
it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. They don't keep him any longer. They're gonna get bored with the bloopers anyway. So
We'll roll the bloopers. Yeah, the compilation of the interviews. Enjoy all of that.
what's your take on the whole kind of 90s nostalgia thing that seems to be happening at the moment? Like this podcast is a good example.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your take on all of that?
Do you think it's just time?
What do you think? What do you think my take is? I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So do we.
It gives me an opportunity to kind of relive my glory days.
Yeah.
They were great. They were great times. The world today is an even shittier place than it was then.
I agree.
So
I
think it's good to have good memories, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I think there's nothing wrong with nostalgia.
UK changed everything, yeah.
Wow.
And also it was
That's
sort of
cool.
like this sense of like, yeah, America didn't get it. Like we toured and toured and toured and toured.
Mm-hmm.
And, people would come to the shows, but it was not at all like the UK or Europe.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah, that is
It was really cool. For a young band, it was so flattering. Like all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, like these people get us.
Have you seen video of it and stuff?
Yeah,
It
it's
does look
crazy, man. It's just people.
just-
It's people, like as far as you can see.
Yeah. just hanging. I just remember people hanging out of trees and hanging off of them, climbing up the mixing desk tower, and
Yeah.
bodies everywhere, basically. And we actually arrived. We were kind of blown away because coming in, like driving in on our bus, because we came from another gig somewhere, like Roskilde or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
And it's all we could see was people wearing levelers shirts, like every other person as we were driving in, and we were like, oh, yeah, pressure's on.
Yeah, no, it must have been an incredible night for sure. He was on Celebrity Big Brother, wasn't he? He won it, actually, I think. I think he won it. Oh, that's gone down like.
Sorry, I was thinking about Luke's dog called Bez. Do you remember?
Yeah.
It's quite a good name for a dog.
So then to come onto the word and even have to argue for 8 weeks to get Oasis on, I used to find it quite
really?
I found it quite tiresome.
Why didn't they want to get Oasis on?
Because we already had a band from Manchester called the Caliphs booked on. So I had that one again. I mean, Terry, you can't have two bands from Manchester on the same show. You know what I mean? It's like, well, so you wouldn't have two bands from London on the same show. Well, that's different. I said, yeah, you've not had a music scene since punk. There's nothing that's come out of London.
So they could have been on 2 months earlier? Is that what you're saying?
No. We had to wait for the first single. And in fact, one of the things was when Supersonic came out.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually officially released for another 2 or 3 weeks after we had them on. We got them on the very last show of Series 4. And the other band with the Caliphs, they'd been signed for quite a lot of money, and they were like all Asian lads, all Pakistani descent lads from Manchester. Rolling with the Clicker, I think, is a track that they did, but they were tipped to go for big things. But never quite happened. And we only ended up getting Oasis on. I actually got Noel and Liam to come down to Mither, our music booker, and have him pressed up in a corner.
There's something exciting has happened this week. Luke set up a Patreon page for the...
You motherfucker. You fucker. I've done no such thing.
For the podcast.
Went to every Reading festival in the 80s from 80 onwards.
Yeah.
Camping, being silly all weekend. So to play there, it was like, fuck it hell. When we got asked to do it 3 months before the actual gig, I couldn't sleep for 3 months.
Oh, it's big, isn't it? It's a big
deal. And then that day, Faith No More played, I think.
Oh.
Faith No More.
Was that the 92 one? I can't remember if it was a 1991 or the 92 one. So we did it 2 years, didn't we? But either one of those years, sorry, my memory's a bit...
It's all right.
Watching Faith No More from by the side of the stage just after The Real Thing had come out.
Oh, man. Yeah.
That's one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
We were massive fans.
Yeah, big
What
Faith
a
No More
fucking
fans.
band.
Yeah.
And just, to sort of like be standing there and there.
Did you meet him afterwards, or...?
Only the bass player.
Yeah.
He borrowed one of my passes to get one of his mates in.
When we started this podcast, Luke said, is there going to be money in it? And I said, well, we'll see how it goes. Can't promise anything. But you know,
Oh man, ever get the feeling you've been gaslit?
We played with a lot of people. We played Smashing Pumpkins.
How was that? Was Billy Corgan as much of a dick as he comes across?
Yeah, well, it was Brixton Academy, and I just remember it being. I remember Joey being very irritated with him.
Okay.
And but, I mean, I don't have any bad memories of it. Then we did a tour. We did a great tour with the Manics, which I think was Richie's last tour.
wow. Amazing!
Wow.
The proper Manics, the early days.
Oh yeah, and backstage, you know, the boys had their camouflage all over the place.
Like the balaclava stage, right? Yeah.
Richie had his own little room there. I think he had a parachute that he used to hang.
Yeah.
I can't think
it's one of those things.
Better guess, mate.
What?
You're saying the previous guest is shit.
More guess. I'll say it
again. Can we take you back to 1995 in Brighton Essential Festival? Me and Dave and then the other guy Neil were there. Amazing festival. Charlotte and Populate Itself, Teenage Fan Club, and the dodgy set was the first and only time I've ever crowd surfed. It was a big moment in my life. I mean, do you remember that festival? I know you played loads of those things.
I do remember that festival because if you remember right, it was a power cut.
It's exactly what I wrote. I thought it was my mind playing tricks. It was a power cut, right?
It was a power cut.
Just sung without the mic with an acoustic guitar,
and I went to the front, I think, with my acoustic guitar and just
exactly right.
I sang a bit like Bono or something like that, but with the guitar. Bono at Band Aid, Live Aid, and then I did it with an acoustic guitar in Brighton. And I remember it just sort of. And I've done it before. I mean, it's sort of like, electricity won't stop us. I remember thinking that and just thinking, just grab your guitar and go to the front. And those sort of things always make things more memorable for people, I think.
Yeah,
and rather than just going off stage and like going, let's wait till they tell us to come on. That's not what rock and roll's about, really. It's about, we shall overcome sort of vibe. So, I do remember it. And it's sort of ingratiated with our fans even more, I think, by doing that. And, feeling that we have an answer. And I am a bit of a problem solver. I like sort of, if I've got a problem in the studio, I like solving problems. And that was like my obvious thing, get your guitar and go to the front. What people won't be able to hear you very well, but they might. Yeah. But, it just felt like the right thing to do.
Oh, hey, ho, hey, ho.
I'm going to move on.
Can you do that? I think that's all right.
No, you can't. No, you can't.
Senseless Things played at my club, and my band supported them. It was Senseless Things Corner Shop and us on the same bill.
Oh wow, that's amazing!
Very early Corner Shop, but Senseless Things, I think was still like I think Hold It Down had just charted.
Yeah,
and
I got a bone to pick with Corner Shop. I'll tell you about it after. Go on. Go on.
And I remember, to this day, I have never seen a better bass player on stage than Morgan Nichols from Senseless Things.
He's
just
phenomenal.
Off the scale. Yeah. And Ben was the serious one. Ben was the guy that seemed a bit more quiet than all the others. Because I was fanboying out, and I was playing Paul with Mark Heads, God rest his soul. Who was just this super sweet, cool, tiny little man.
Everyone said he was just always super friendly, right?
Yeah, lovely. As I've got video footage of my friend who could put an entire bag of minstrels behind his foreskin, and I
told you. Yeah,
I've got a video.
He wasn't in EMF, was he?
No. I've got a funny story about
that's the story about EMF, right? He put an orange inside his foreskin.
Zach could,
right? Neil didn't believe he wouldn't have it. I told him he would not believe me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's confirmed.
I've got a video of Morgan Nichols going, Man,
So you haven't got a video of that?
No, I've got a video of
No.
Morgan Nichols just looking bewildered at my mate cramming a bag of minstrels behind his foreskin backstage.
Why?
But yeah, what a band they were. I think he just wanted to show off in front of the Senseless
But how
Things.
did he find out he could do that?
I imagine a
it's a lot of
process of elimination. I don't know if he started off with Rebels or I'm not sure. But
Sure.
I think they didn't
You go
melt
with
quite
Skittles or something
quickly.
smaller, right? Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have a quick wee.
Go on. Don't have a shit when you're in there, though. Sometimes they come out by mistake, don't they?
Don't shit on your dick.
What? Wait,
Don't shit on your. Can I ask about the ill-fated Def Jam tour with Public Enemy and Run DMC? I mean,
Yeah.
First of all, I mean, how did that come about? I mean,
I think their record label just wanted a UK band on. Maybe they were thinking it wouldn't sell as well, and I thought maybe we'd sell a few tickets. I don't know, but yeah, it was a bloody nightmare to tell the truth. The two, because we started in Brixton, 2 nights both sold out, and it was just pretty horrendous. Really, we went on and just people were chucking stuff at us. They were chucking like umbrellas, newspapers set on fire. We had a banger firework chucked at us, a bag of mint imperials, loads of cash. The roadies made enough for fags for the whole tour. There was so much stuff on that stage, and we just got howled off. So we did, I think, we were due to play 7, we got through 5. I think we had to do it again next day. We cut the set to 4. I think we did about 3. But what broke them all was Clint, because Clint and Gray did extra running around at that gig. It's a big stage with no like equipment on, really, apart from our guitar and bass amp, because obviously most bands there's no drum kits stuff. But they ran around more than usual, trying to avoid being hit by stuff.
We can ask them about the songwriting process and stuff.
Yeah. The rock and roll excess.
Their songwriting process must be really sort of intense to come up with that shit. Wasn't even funny, remotely funny. That's a good bit about being able to take stuff out, you see. You can try it. If it don't work, don't work.
But then can you tell us what happened when you were just about to release the album then? So after all of that support and 18 months of, hey guys, take your time.
Well, unfortunately, that guy, Stanley, brilliant guy, was ousted from the label. Whatever happened, I don't know. And this you know, I think for bands these days, there's you can self-release some stuff. There, you kind of had to have, generally speaking, I think you really needed a label to do to have the mechanism to put a record out.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were dropped. We had 3, hits in the UK.
So what? Well, I mean, why? What the fuck?
Well,
why?
Talked to the guy, and everybody had the same reaction, really. At the label as well, everyone was like, "What the fuck?" I mean, we were doing well, and everybody, all the other new bands on that label weren't doing as well. We were considered to be the sort of hopes, and we were proving we could do it. We got on with everybody at the label. It was all cool. It all looked great, But a new boss came in, and just my only regret is that I never got in a room with him just to have that conversation and say, what's this about, And he might have just gone, just not into it or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, he dropped us just before the album, and I think even some of the reviews were out. So it was quite a weird move, because they pressed up the record and everything. It was ready to go.
Curb that pen wiggling. Right. Well, have you got a pen anyway, you little bastard?
I always have a pen. Well, for making notes. I know. I think it's like a security blanket.
That's all right. I quite like it.
I met Mike in a pub. I met Mike in a pub and he was wearing a pair of skate shoes. And I said, hey, you skate? And because at that time, if you wore a pair of skates, these days, if you wear a pair of skate shoes, you've just gone to a shop and bought a pair of skate shoes. Back then, if you wore a pair of skate shoes, it meant that you were a skater. And at that point in late 88, mid 88, I suppose it was, skating wasn't still a massive thing. It really took off at the beginning, I suppose, of 89. That's when it really started to pile back in again. And so, all the way through the 80s, if you met somebody that was wearing skate clothes, you were like, you're one of us. And there weren't that many of us, so to speak. So we got talking and he was like, yeah, I still skate. And I was like, yeah, so do I. So let's go skating. Let's go skating tomorrow. And he was like, okay, fine, fair enough. So we did. He rang me I rang him the next day and said, let's skate. And we went and we met in Harrow at the skate park there. I think we might have even gone back up to London and skated Meanwhile too, which is a skate park in London. So anyway, we skated all day. And it was only after about 2 or 3 weeks of constant skating, he was like, I'm in a band. And I was like, that sounds interesting. And he's like, yeah, you'll have to come and see us play, or I'll play you some of our songs. And I knew nothing about it for about another 2 or 3 weeks until he did play me a demo. And he said, look, this is the band. We're trying to find a new name. We've got a new identity. We're doing all this stuff. So he played me the demos and I was like, holy cow, those are amazing. And so I went to see about seven or eight gigs maybe that they played on their own, maybe less than that, I don't know. And at one point in November 1988, they were playing at the King's Head in Fulham, and Andy Ross, who was one of the bosses of Food Ross Records, bumped into me in the toilets, and I was just sitting there watching I'd been watching the band, and he was going, they're really good, aren't they? And I said, yes, they are. And he said, you should get involved. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? And he was like, I don't know, but you should get involved. And at that point, a couple of days later, Mike said to me, well, how would you like to come and play samples? And I was like, okay. And I think basically they didn't really want me to play samples. They wanted somebody that could supply them with cool skate clothes, which I was happy to do.
I don't want to get it wrong. I'm not going to. Let's Neil cut this. Cut this. Just cut it. Just cut it. We're going to get into all kinds of... Nothing good's going to come out of this line of fucking...
I was quite enjoying it.
So my question is, are you going to take responsibility for new metal?
I would take responsibility for new metal if they would send me the check. But until someone sends me the check for
Limp Bizkit's,
if Limp Bizkit sent me a massive check, then I'll say, I'll give them it's fucking awful. It's hideous. It's a hideous display.
When that came out, that was like 93, 94, the new metal bands came out, right? And they just completely, I don't know how they managed to make it so bad, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a few things that popped out of that were good, but it's just, I don't know. It's just the culmination of new metal for me. Have you seen the Woodstock? Woodstock documentary?
Yeah.
There you go.
yeah, that's it.
It's a good documentary. If anyone hasn't seen it, they should go and watch it because it's funny to watch, but yeah, it's not really funny.
It just shows what happens when you let something like hip hop get pulled so far into a kind of mainstream white male, sweaty. It just became a bit disgusting. There are some things within that were interesting. I'm struggling to pull them out right now. Maybe that Static X thing with the Executioners was cool. I like that. Okay. But really, there's not much. Oh, Judgment Night, I guess.
I was going to mention that earlier when you said, I was going to mention that.
That's not really
before.
New metal. That's new metal only in the sense that it's guitars and hip hop. But that was more like a kind of, direct clash of slightly older artists.
Do all the things it asks you to do. So,
sorry.
I can cut that out anyway.
Leave it in. It's funny.
You could just cut me out.
we had our own fanzine. We had our own fanzine called Petal Buzz. We had our own T-shirts. You know, it was a good look. When it was actually the Bull and Gate that couldn't be bothered to write "at the Blues" after Smash. So we turned up and it said Smash on the like chalkboard out the front, and we were like, "Oh right, let's not fucking bother with the rest." And Rob put stars in between the letters. So the style came, the T-shirts came. We had our own fanzine. You know, we were doing busloads of kids to the George Roby from Welwyn Garden City. We had our own thing, you know, and you know I think that's enough for a record company. They haven't any work left to do.
How important was it coming from Welwyn Garden City? Because obviously, whenever we think of Welwyn Garden City now, we think Smash. But it was a big thing for you guys to, because when you got signed, didn't you did the signing at the old youth club in Welwyn Garden City?
Yeah, we did it at Ludwig Youth Club. Yeah.
So it's a big part of Smash.
Yeah, and I think that's why we. I mean, it's one of our T-shirts was "Small Town Git." You know, we're just three guys.
I had it.
Small town.
I had
Neil had that one. I'll show you mine. I still got mine. I had the.
Oh, fantastic!
Not your star fucker. There you go.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Don't know if it fits.
That's
I haven't tried
original.
it, but yeah, it's the original.
Oh, that's right. You don't like them, do you?
Why'd you have to bring that up?
Oh, you don't? Is that true? We were hoping to get them on. We've got this totally romanticized kind of idea of kind of late 80s, early 90s London, that kind of squat culture of creativity.
It was romantic.
I'm glad to hear it.
I mean, we didn't have any toilets, but it was still romantic.
Overrated.
I remember, moving into squats and having to install our own toilet, and we definitely were a community. It was a definite community, and it was so exciting because everyone you knew was doing the same thing, and the whole group of people around you all doing that. I think, now that's so difficult. I would find it difficult. How do young people find a peer group? Because they don't meet anyone.
No.
And it's all very anonymous and online and stuff. And like the physical world is really important for a human being to develop, I think.
I like the bit where they're playing at the army base and they keep giving them the time in the army they use like 100 hours and stuff like that, and they get all confused about what time they're supposed to be playing and stuff.
Right.
That didn't go down too well, did it? But it's such a great song. I mean, it's a proper anthem, isn't it, for the youth? It's just a great track.
No,
I love it. I love the lyrics in it are just amazing. They're just so good. It's just a great story.
Of all the things I've done in my time, I mean, ready to go for the success, but for the kudos, Weekender has had me more beers bought for me than any other song I've ever written.
Deservedly so, mate. Deservedly.
Yeah, bring that one out every time.
Yeah, that's the one that gets the beers bought.
I mean, go on, Neil.
No, carry on.
No, go on.
I was just going to say, well, Weekender, it has got this legendary status now, right? It's one of those songs that's...
Yeah, it's... I mean, with the video being with the film that was created around the video recently. Can you
tell us a bit about the film?
Yeah, well, it started to start off with, about 4 years ago, the BFI decided that they finally recognised music video as an art form. Because to that point, they hadn't. It was all just film, short film, whatever. Music video wasn't recognised by them. They picked 10 videos going back through the years that they put some money behind, had them all upscaled to 4K, all restored and done. And Weekender was one of those.
Let us know these Animal Men Smash stories, and just your I don't know, Any memories you've got of the time? Oh, I don't know what I'm talking about here. I'm mumbling. I don't need any of that. All right. If you are listening, then please tell us the story you're about to tell us about the. Is it the trophy that you were talking about?
Yeah, well, because we found out probably midnight Thursday night that we'd definitely bagged the number one. So, but we found ourselves in a Premier Inn on an A road outside Preston. Exactly, and we only arrived at that at about midnight. So, and then we had to get up dead early on Saturday to drive to Glasgow. So it was just a weird period of time. But then when we'd done the afternoon in Glasgow and got that out of the way, and we had the evening free, so we went for a really lovely meal, very civilized. And then it all went a bit wrong. And I was a bit concerned on Sunday when I woke up because I couldn't find that trophy anywhere. It took me a while to find it. So thankfully it's at home with me now.
Sphincter says what?
It's got some quite blue jokes in it, hasn't it? That I'll have the cream of some young guy and all of that. Yeah, it's good.
We took a hovercraft, believe it or not. That was the first thing we bought with our record advance from Beggars. Was,
what do you mean?
What do you mean?
A 2-seater hovercraft with an engine on it.
You still haven't explained it.
Okay, so you know what a hovercraft is, don't you?
Yes. Yeah.
So we were sitting on the train reading Auto Trader as you do.
Sure.
Okay, looking at bikes dribbling, stuff like that. Being Bill heavily into motorbikes and stuff like that.
All right.
And Bill spotted this hovercraft in the Auto Trader. And just went, "Oh lads, have you fucking seen this? It'll be mint, this man. It'll go on land and water." So
perfect.
He's right.
Have a look at it. Yeah, we went to have a look at it. It started first pull, so we went, right, we'll have it. So we bought it, painted it black and white, put a blue star on the front, and took it down to Reading Festival. And we drove it around the backstage area at Reading Festival in between the buses and stuff like that. It was the best
great.
thing.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So,
where is the hovercraft now?
Well, the hovercraft died, unfortunately. But was it the pink? Was it the fairy animals that had a pink tank or something?
Oh, Super Fairy Animals. They did have a tank.
Yeah,
yeah.
They did have a tank.
So they got that tank after we bought the hovercraft.
Right. So you inspired that.
Right.
Yeah,
Let's go one better, didn't they? Yeah. You mentioned Charlie Chester earlier. Can I ask a bit about Ibiza? So I watched that documentary a while ago. I've forgotten the name of it. About chilling. I mean, how much do you remember about that? It was fascinating to watch from like 2023. You know, it was amazing.
Well, that was made by us. Was made by our manager at the time, Kevin Sampson, worked for Channel 4, and he was he part of the editorial team there at Channel 4, and he was, he kind of convinced our label, who were our mates, basically, because we had our own label in Liverpool called Produce Records. We weren't signed to make one. We just did everything ourselves. We managed to convince them to put some money into filming. And we got invited first and foremost out to Ibiza by Charlie Chester. It was him that said, "Look,
oh, really? Mm.
Yeah, we're doing this 2-week event out in Ibiza. It's a flying event. There's even a club in London called Flying, which was great. And he'd had us on playing the flying nights. So we'd already knew Charlie, we already knew, Boca Juniors, Junior Boys Own, and all them people. And we were hanging out with them, and so we got invited there, and part of it was, well, why don't we film it? And that's how that came about, really. So our record label at the time paid funded the money for us to go out there with a guy called Angus Cameron, I think his name was, the producer, the director of that, and just film what went on. So they were out there for 2 weeks filming what went on, and we were out there playing as well. And so it was the only documentary, or the first documentary, pop doc, if you like, documentary of its type at that time. No one else had gone out there and tried to film what was taking place in the island of Ibiza.
We're going to say
no.
All right. All right. Let's get on to Black Grape. I mean, it seemed like an impossible combination at the time. It somehow worked. I mean, how did it come about?
Well, the Rap Assassins imploded, and Happy Mondays imploded, and
about the same time.
Around the same time, around the same time, roughly. And I'd met Sean a bit ago. We used to get high together, and I was saying, "Oh, we'll make some tunes together." I did a couple of guests on the last Happy Mondays album. Like, nah, let's get together and do. So we're just getting high. We were drug buddies, basically, just listening to music constantly and getting absolutely fucked. You know? And
what were you listening to?
Oh, loads of different, everything. The Beach Boys, the Ghetto Boys, Let's say everything. Reggae music, anything. And then it was like, maybe we should start making music instead of just getting fucked all the time and listening to music.
Dave, can you speak? So I'm not hearing.
Can you hear me?
Very
now?
loud.
Can
yeah.
you hear me now?
Am I still jerking?
Jerking off. Have you got any good stories you can tell us of life on the road with these legends?
Not really. There's nothing. Nothing really. Like there were all I could say. We were young lads, and they were a lot.
Yeah.
These fans were a lot older than us. You know what I mean? At least 8 years older. At 9 years old, you know. I just remember being with the Black Grape, and at the time, we were all in the airport once, and I was sort of like, "Oh, there's Sean Ryder, fuck, you know," and you know, and he was absolutely smashed out of his head, and
you'd be disappointed if anything else, though.
And his security guard says, "Sorry, Leon, but he can't really talk." I said, "Why?" I said, "He's had 40 Valium and 2 bags of smack." Now, you know what I mean? So, and he was fucking KO'd, all I know, on the fucking, you know what I mean? So, you know, this is the type of stuff you're dealing with, you know what I mean? I mean, for the grace of God, he's still alive, but it was. We had crazy times, but I was young, you know what I mean? So I sort of forget a lot of it in some ways.
All right. So we've got to talk about Where's Me Jumper. What can you tell us about getting the song together and all of that?
So that was actually Niall, and he actually did lose his jumper in a club called Sir Henry's. Yeah. So that was actually written, with the previous drummer, but it was quite slow. But that drum beat was there, so it was just speeded up.
You got to hit that. You got to get that timing right, haven't you?
Yeah. But the whole, I knew when I heard, the band, I'd say they hadn't done more than 2 or 3 shows in Cork at the time, and they were already playing that song. And I remember looking at it saying, that's a hit. I know that sounds ludicrous to say, but it was just so obvious even then that you just thought, if anybody can hear this, it will be popular, So we didn't realize it would be that popular. More than 30 years on. It's
well, there you go. I mean, is it a surprise that it is? People still remember it. People still love it.
Yeah, it's hard to know what songs in it, because sometimes you get a song that's popular in the year it's released and then you never hear it again. And then other songs that weren't popular at the time become popular years later. So Where's My Jumper's really stood the test of time. Yeah, it turns up in the most bizarre places, ukulele concerts and all sorts of things, people's weddings. Yeah, so yeah, it's fun.
I can read, I just don't. Where's he going?
Is he off to?
He's going for shit.
What the fuck? He's just up to
no
win.
Explanation, nothing.
No.
He just fucked off. He's back.
He's back.
What did you have to do for 3 seconds?
We were having fun, you know. We made up stories to confuse the Brits. So we told all sorts of lies, and one was that when you're friendly with someone, you dock. So you put your penis against the other man's penis, and you put your foreskin over the foreskin, and you dock. So obviously Carl wanted to dock with me, and I had to duck that because you can't fucking dock with the guy who's going out with Newport's biggest drug dealer, who's also likes to shag drummers. But a few drinks too many in the Glasgow Hilton bar, I was docking with my A&R Ben and Stefan, the Dead Can Dance Stefan, and Carl, who's further down in the bar, hears about this, comes running with his knob out and says, "Now we need to dock." And I was like, "I can't.
Didn't want to be left
I can't
out.
say no. I can't say no. So I have to." And then my wife, my now wife Christina, comes over to me and says, "Did you dock Carl?" Yeah. Okay.
Just polite. Just being polite
for you. Yeah, I was just being polite, and she understands that. But she said, "You're not going to be anywhere near me till we've seen a doctor." So I was quarantined for a couple of months.
Right.
Yeah.
You sure you're done all you need to do?
Well, these days the last few drips just come out in your pants, don't they?
Yeah, true.
You got a dab, man. You got a dab.
You know, it's that classic case. We alienated ourselves from our audience. Rocker Company didn't have any faith in us, and the three wanted to press on, and I just sort of thought, I think time's up for me. So I had to make this really hard decision to walk away from a signed band, which was really quite tough, because after my parents just going, "You go, leave school, do your thing," and then months later I'm saying, "I'm not that happy, and I'm probably going to leave." But it had given me that taste, right? It had given me that sort of taste of playing with bands like Kingmaker and So On's a Ping, and supporting the Pogues and Suede and Blur. And I mean, it was just a crazy time. And, to experience that at such a young age so quickly, I kind of just felt, this needs to happen again. I need to give it another shot before I kind of decide maybe that drumming isn't for me.
Oh, right.
Oh, what are they called? Umlets. Kumquats.
Don't know what they call them. Yeah, you're probably right.
Dave, laugh at Neil's kumquats joke. We're going to repeat it if we don't. We actually got the idea to invite you on the podcast after watching you talk brilliantly on the New Wave documentary, the Flawed is Beautiful documentary about these Animal Men and Smash, who we're big fans of on the podcast. I mean, brilliant. What do you think of that? Yeah, loved it at the time as well. I was like 17, and they were like everything to me at the time. So, I mean, how did those bands? What do you think about that scene, basically?
I think they were the bridge between the Manics and Britpop, weren't they? People like me, we've been using that term Britpop for about 8 years. That's another weird thing. It suddenly became a new word that everyone else had invented. We think,
and is it true that you coined the word Britpop? Is that
I was just writing about bands in the Northwest who harken back to more British culture, musical culture. The people started to praise the Beatles again after them being not fashionable for like 15 years.
So when did you first use that term? How long before?
About 87. So it'd be
wow.
Like the Lars and blah that. Stu McConey, he changed the context of it. So in a sense, he reinvented the word. So it became about this kind of scene of British bands that weren't American. So it was about Suede and Pulp and all that, and that's totally fine. Mm-hmm. It's just a bit annoying when you get nudged out the whole thing. You think, well, that word was in usage quite a long time, So
sure.
So anyway, so that little scene, these animals, that scene there was it's like a fallow period when it coming out the back of the Manchester thing, and then people talk about how gaming was going to destroy music, and gaming is actually more popular than music now, but it didn't mean music completely stopped. It's suddenly there was, there was like a fight back, wasn't there? So these bands represented that, and they're really great bands as well. I mean, I interviewed them a few times, and they had great manifestos, great ideas about what they were doing, really smart and savvy. And there was that brief, it's about a year, wasn't it? That period where Smash and These Animal Men were touring around, sometimes together, sometimes separate. I must have interviewed them about 4 or 5 times in that period, both bands and that. But they just got engulfed by Britpop. They actually got engulfed by the scene they did all the groundwork for. So in a way, a bit like Black Flag did all that touring of America and created that live circuit that all the bands like Nirvana could tour on and become massive. But it's always like that in music. And I mean, music's not meant to be fair, is it? It's not meant to be you do all the work, therefore you get all the treasure. Yeah. It's not like that.
It's like EastEnders. You don't change the EastEnders theme, do you?
You don't.
And you don't change themes.
Anyone can fall in love. Is Dirty Den still in it? I haven't seen it for a while.
Yeah, he got done wanking on cam, didn't he?
Did he?
Well, the actor's dead.
He is now. But he did
from wanking. He wanked himself to death.
I met Winona Ryder, which was weird.
Oh, wow.
And then
I'd like Winona
the press
Ryder.
got hold of that and made a bit of a mess of that. She wanted to use a song on one of, I think she bought the rights to a book, which was about people who went round and put up tents for circuses in the 70s. I don't know if it ever got made into a film, but she wanted to use one of my songs for it, and but she wanted to bypass the publishers, and I think she just wanted me to give her it. And I didn't understand anything about how the business works, so I met up with her once in the Milk Bar, I think, in New York, after we'd done a gig, and then that was that. And then there was a few phone calls afterwards, and then I got back to England, and the Daily Mirror rang me up. This twat of a journalist rang me up and was asking me about what had happened in America and stuff. And you see, you've been out with Winona Ryder. What happened? And I was like, I just told him that rather dull story I've just told you. And he was like, oh, is that it? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, so you didn't shag her then? And I was like, for fuck's sake. And I just hung up.
Yeah.
And then the next day we went down to London, and I remember we're going on the train to London, and it was quite early in the morning, and I was getting a cup of tea from the buffet car, and the guy goes, fucking hell, it's you. And I was like, what? And he was going, you're in the fucking paper. And he opened it up. He's reading the Daily Mirror, and it was page 7, I think. There's a massive picture of Winona Ryder, this tiny little picture of me. And then it said underneath, wild man of rock, Chris Helms says, I want a rider.
We'll think.
Luke's extras.
Yeah, have a think. That's shit.
Firming up.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good headline, though.
Didn't understand what he meant.
But
did he
in
come
hindsight,
up with it?
Yeah.
Well, in hindsight, he was. Well, we came up with it, didn't we? We came up with it.
With the final name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
it means.
But what does firming up
well,
mean?
it means he's getting an erection, doesn't it?
I thought it meant he was getting over a bout of diarrhea.
I mean, we think probably the most interesting thing about us is how not rock and roll we were and are. Like, we tour in Europe and stuff like that. And I can remember, I think the most rock and roll ever was Jerry, the drummer, throwing a TV remote out of the window. Like, not throwing a TV out the window.
Well, I do remember. I do remember throwing a telly out the window.
What?
But yeah, I did throw a telly out the window, but it was like a handheld telly. It was at Dan's sister's place, and it was on the ground floor, and someone was on the other side. I think Jerry was on the other side, just threw it to him. Right. I was like, yeah.
That still counts, man. That still counts.
Still counts.
Yeah. But the remote threw out. Jerry threw out the window and then immediately was filled with guilt and had to go and like, but yeah, honestly, there's there's absolutely no classic sort of rock and roll stories of when we were gigging, and we.
Well, there's a few.
Well,
there's a few, but they were kind of inadvertent.
Yeah, and also
and they were usually involving other, outside members and not actually members of the band, people as associates and what have you.
They usually involve us witnessing something,
something, and go,
rather than being involved and actually doing something.
Bystanders, that's all right.
Exactly, we were rock and roll bystanders.
We were adjacent. We were rock and roll adjacent.
We were very much bystanding.
Could you
Luke.
cut my Neil? Could you cut my Marauder comment out? He's got nothing whatsoever to do with craft work.
You know that I'm just going to leave it in now, aren't you?
Nah, I know you won't.
So that you look stupid.
You wouldn't do that.
So, we kind of said how the band sort of petered out, but I mean, just in that snapshot of time, you had a lot of success that other bands will never have, so you've got to be happy with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, I don't think I look back incredibly fondly on it now. There was I had a bit of animosity. I definitely felt animosity towards it when we were playing our last gig at the garage. We knew we were going to split up straight after it, and I remember finishing that final song and walking off and thinking, shit. But then at the time, I think our relationships had been strained because of everything that had gone on around it as well. But now I look back at it, and I absolutely, I wouldn't really change a thing. I don't think. It would have been great to release records at the time, but now we've released those records. Pretty much everything that we've wanted to do with the band, we've been able to do. And I'm still really, really great mates with every single member of the band, and we get on and we see each other regularly. And I don't think I could ask for anything more from the whole experience than to sort of, be in that situation.
No.
And to be fortunate enough to be even talking to, two people who have, shared an interest in wanting to know about it.
Do you think?
I mean, you got on the Stupid and Contagious podcast. Now that is
exactly. We'll be giving it a big plug, yeah.
Funny schmeller.
Stop saying that.
No one laughed.
It's not funny. It doesn't mean anything.
It didn't pass the laugh test.
Well, it did for Bradley Walsh. He couldn't carry on.
John and Stephen had been doing music together for a while. John was really young at this point. So he would have been 14 and you were 16 maybe? Is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
And then
That's
they
young,
recorded
yeah.
a demo tape at school, and I heard them play at the school, and it was amazing. They were so good, and they were getting a reputation for being the two guys. You need to check this out. They're absolutely amazing. And they were just brilliant. And I also fancied Stephen at the time, so I was really loving it. And it was just so good to see people at your school doing something that you really like musically, and just went to see them as often as I could, and then eventually got asked to join the band. Not that I could really play much, but I could do enough that I could stand and play keyboards that I was shown what to press. And then it kind of went from there, and I would end up trying to do my own things and trying to sing. Trying is the word in the beginning anyway, because it was just the yelping to start with, but it seemed to appeal to a bunch of people, which was very nice. And a lot of the bands I ended up getting really into, that was the kind of thing that started it all, really.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of bands are we talking about? We are a very similar age, which I know because I've got you got your date of birth, smash hit style on the back of the first album. So I was born in '76, same as you, Steve. So
Should we just crack on with the interview?
Yeah, if you
right.
promise to fucking cheer up.
I'm really worried about the COVID thing.
So
I'm
what?
dying and he's
Fucking
soon
hell.
to die.
I know.
I don't want to kill my parents.
Eventually, when we started to get some attention, we supported the Manic Street Preachers.
Wow.
Times, and then we ended up doing a tour with Hole.
Yeah.
Therapy.
Oh, therapy. Oh, really? Oh, I love a bit of
Yeah.
therapy. Yeah. Yeah.
And,
So this was whole pre
this,
frame,
this,
right?
well, it was right after they had released Pretty on the Inside, the first
Yeah.
one. That was the first one,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Oh,
Yeah,
was
around
it?
then, yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty on
that
the
was
inside. Yeah. How was that? How was
yeah,
touring
it was
with
right
them?
after they'd done that. It was good. It was good. I remember I remember playing a pub in Leeds called the Duchess of York, I think, or maybe
That sounds right. Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah, and I remember we all had to share one big sort of dressing room, and I remember talking to her and Courtney. I was quite frightened of her. Yeah, I thought she was quite scary, but she was nice to me, so that was good.
Yeah, well, it was raining here this morning, torrential rain. So count your blessings.
Oh, it's the worst summer we've ever had.
So humid, suffocating. You won't let me put the fan on because it'll ruin your fucking audio.
Damn right.
I'm going to be melting like at the end of bloody Roger Rabbit in a minute.
Oh my goodness, so wonderful. And they just had this no boys allowed situation and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
That's really being really specific about what your aims and wants are, and we took a huge inspiration from them, to obviously not a gender-based thing, but just about being brought up and being quite frank about things, being frank and honest, because to me are great painters and all the rest of it, you just your entire personality and past thoughts, your ambitions, your fears, and your fallibilities are all there on the page for everyone to see. You just go, here I am, and that's basically what the Ten Commandments was. And it was, entirely influenced by the Riot Girl situation that happened before. Yeah,
I like Rock Me Amadeus by Falco,
but not the film.
God rest his soul.
Oh,
it's the same
Falco
story.
dead?
I think so.
Is he?
Huh.
I think so.
There was
Well, I
some
just made it
interesting fact about Falco, but I can't remember it. Go on, Dave. Sorry, you're talking about
Anyway,
the film
fuck
Amadeus.
Falco.
It was a similar thing as well, where we were out there on tour, because we went out there and did like a few little blocks, then we did like a 6-week tour, and then we do it again, another 6 weeks tour. And I always remember I had this postcard I was sending to my friend saying, oh, we're number 90 in the Billboard. And then I'd cross it out, we're number 5, oh, we're in the top 20. And then, of course, by the time I got to post it, we'd actually gone like in the top 5, and then it went to number 1 whilst we were in which is kind of insane. We were working. We really worked it. We were doing all the, you turn up in a town, you'd have to do the radio, you'd have to go to the record, do a sign in, you'd do the gig, and then you'd have to do a meet and greet afterwards with all the local record executives and people who worked in the records. And then you'd have to go and party all night long.
Yeah, that's difficult, right?
But you were like 20, 21, right? You got the energy, right, back then?
Yeah. I mean, I was 21. The members of the band weren't even old enough to drink when we were out there.
Oh yeah,
of course.
21 in America, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was good times, and we had a really nice time because we were taking lots of British bands out with us as support acts. So this is when I got quite friendly with Stereo MCs and Pop Leet itself and Carter.
Yeah.
Those bands that generation.
Yeah.
Let him speak. He hasn't.
Oh, sorry.
Give him a chance.
Go on.
But
I didn't think it'd be very interesting.
You say, what band would I like to have been in? I can tell you a band I was in, and that band is Bros.
Oh, come on.
I was in Bros.
Please explain.
So they weren't called Bros at the time. It was me.
Oh, you're not even joking, are you?
No, I'm not joking, man. Me, Matt and Luke, Craig, who then got on to jokingly be called Ken by somebody. His name was Craig. who I'm still Facebook friends with. And every birthday, send him a thing saying "Happy birthday from your past." And he always says, "Hope you're well." That's about as much as our friendship goes. The other two, I don't know anymore.
This could be the best story ever.
I was the guitar player. Now,
what were you called at the time?
Well, this might have been around the time that they were called Gloss, I think.
Gloss, right.
But I can't really remember. They had kind of long, curly, like mullety hair and 80s jackets. And
did they have the gross bottle tops at that point?
No. This is before that. No. And so I didn't really. I mean, there was no way I would have ever fitted in with. I mean, I Bros.
Oh, come on.
Well, I can't see it. You got to remember. I mean, look at me now. You got to remember. I mean, look, this is fairly frightening. Look back. Remember how I was back in the 90s? I wasn't Brett Anderson, so I wouldn't have fitted in with a sort of like an attractive band. But it was. So this is in the 80s. I played guitar with them, and we're in Craig's garage, which is where we used to rehearse. And I remember saying to them, "I've had it with you. This is all true. You're never going to get anywhere. I'm off."
I'm going to sneeze. Fuck.
Gesundheit.
Edit that out, Neil.
Don't have to.
That's a weird sneeze he's got.
That's anti-Semitic, Neil. You're appropriating Jewish culture by saying that.
I do support Labour, so.
That time of writing 8-Lick Green Machine, we were still on the bus going to rehearsals in the rain. For the first part of it, me, Martin, and Mark still had jobs. And
really?
then by the time
what did you do? Can I ask?
I was a litter picker at the NEC.
And I've done a bit of litter picking in my time, to be fair.
It's amazing what you find. I found 70 quid in an envelope.
It's quite a satisfying job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
70 quid cash in an envelope with and I needed to see the Water Boys, but there was they were supporting U2, and there was no way I was giving money to U2 to be able to see the Water Boys. And then so I found this 70 quid, I split it with the guy I was with. And then I'm like, right, I can buy U2 tickets now to go and see U2. And so I saw the Water Boys, who were phenomenal. And then 25 minutes later, U2 came on, who were laughable. So I left.
Did you watch? Did you leave through the midway through the U2 set, or did you?
Midway through the first song, they opened with 11 o'clock TikTok, which I just thought was infantile. Having just seen a Waterboy set with the horns and the keyboards, and just was phenomenal.
That's great.
And then,
so you saw them and then fucked off. That's
brilliant. And then I'd got a bit of time for U2 because I like Pride in the Name of Love, which I think that was the tour that they were doing. I thought that was a good track, but I'd never heard 11 o'clock TikTok, and honestly, I just thought it was, as I say, infantile. So much to my then girlfriend's disappointment, like, come on, we're off.
And we'll see you, well, next week in one form or another, and then we'll all see you in a month or so.
Thanks again for your support, everyone. Really, really appreciate it. Nothing without
keep telling your friends, keep sharing, keep liking, subscribing and commenting and helping us grow the podcast. And we'll still be around in the Facebook group, so see you there.
Well, I won't be. I'll be in Mongolia with no service whatsoever.
We've got Facebook in Mongolia.
Not out on the steppes. There's no internet.
You'll be on horseback. Facebook.
Horseback. Yeah. I'm gonna be like Putin. I'm gonna take my shirt off and ride around like Putin on a horse.
Probably be pooing in a tin.
I probably will. Yeah, I'm gonna stay in a gur, I think. Yeah.
You'll poo in a hole, won't you?
Oh, well, if there's a tin, I'll take it. Yeah.
Imagine that. Pooing in a tin. You'll have a poo tin.
I will. Even if there's a hole, I'm gonna put a tin inside the hole. Poo in there.
All right. On that note.
Oh, I'll make a mixtape. I'll make. Oh, wait. I'll make a mixtape of some description for this episode. Cool. Maybe will I?
Don't know.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will. I'll do.
Should we create some fake bloopers now? Luke,
yes, let's
fall
do
off
that.
Your chair.
Right. Yeah. Go on. We've each got to do a fake blooper.
Hang on. Oh,
what? Oh, what's happening?
I've got a bee in my shirt.
Oh no!
Fuck!
Oh,
got a bee in my shirt.
That was great. That was great. It looked completely real. I'm just going to take a sip of my drink. Oh no!
There was no drink in it.
So well. No, I thought there was more in the glass than that.
This isn't top 20 stuff.
Put that in, and they won't know it was ever happened now.
Dave,
you got to finish it off. Say
See
it
in a
wrong.
minute.
Say it wrong. Wait, no. Say it wrong as a blooper.
Me and us in it.